our fourth week of our 8-week training course on how to be the ultimate Remond planner. Those of you that are here for week 4, I want to congratulate you. Congratulations for being on this journey with me for a whole month. We are halfway through this curriculum, and every single training is recorded, and now you're going to have a full 8-week training course at your fingertips, kind of like a visual encyclopedia where you could kind of check in, go back and go check on that mental note you remembered from the training, or you could possibly introduce a certain segment to one of your planners that might be struggling or had some questions. This is the perfect way for you guys to learn and duplicate. And I was fortunate enough, possibly about 20, almost 20 years ago, 18 years ago, people like Mr. Timothy here, Mr. Danny Bay, even then, I was fortunate enough to have these types of leaders pour into me. And here I am today, being able to duplicate this and share the information with you. So today we're going to talk about the uncomfortable stuff, right? Which is how to be an effective recruiter, right? Now, Jim Rohn often says, do the uncomfortable till it becomes the comfortable. That's right. Do the uncomfortable till it absolutely becomes the comfortable. If you can master in doing this, anything in life is going to be, I don't want to say easy, but doable, and you will be able to conquer what it is that you so desire. Because, it's really, when it comes to recruiting, right? It's the fear of rejection, or the fear of what are they going to think of me, the fear of judgment, a lot of things like that, right? But what I want to share with you today when it comes to becoming an effective recruiter, a lot of the times, whatever it is you're thinking, whatever it is you're scared of, whatever fear you have, it's not real, right? Let's look at the word fear. Did you know fear is an acronym? It's called false evidence appearing real, okay? And what I often like to emphasize and teach when it comes to recruiting is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Think about that. It was never yours to begin with. It would have never been yours had you not asked. So if you took the time to recruit and ask, and somebody joins your business, you're learning and growing, and you're adding on. If somebody doesn't, you're still learning and growing, but your character is growing. You go back and learn, how could I have done things better? But the reality of the matter is, they were never yours to begin with, and you didn't really lose anything. So it's really the shift of your mindset on how you want to take a look at things. And once you can understand that, things are going to be a lot easier, and it's going to be a lot more carefree and fun as you build the business. So we're going to dive into this. Okay. So as we start talking about recruiting, here's what I want to share with you today. Scared money don't make money. I was in Vegas, right? We were in Vegas this past weekend, and I actually heard this saying from a blackjack dealer. I'm not an expert, in gambling. I'm pretty terrible. I show up and I give my money to the casino and I go home, right? But I remember I was at a blackjack table I was playing, and the dealer had like a card face down, and they had a 4 facing up, right? And it says dealer hits on soft 17, right? So if I have to think that they have a 14, right? They have a 14, and my card comes out, right? And when they show my card, guess what I got? I got 2 aces, right? So what did I do? The dealer said, this is what the dealer says, scared money don't make money. Would you like to do a split and, do a second hand? And I did. And it dawned on me, it's true. It's like, only fortune only favors the bold. It's so true, right? Scared money don't make money. It's those that want it, those that are willing to go after it, those that have a find a way or make one attitude, right? So with that said, you have to have this scared money don't make money recruiting attitude if you want to build a big, leveraged, automatically growing without you type of business. Okay. So here's what I want to share with you guys tonight. Every successful organization must recruit. It's plain and simple, right? When it comes to Google, what are they doing? They're looking for the elite. They're looking for the smartest IQ, in schools, right? They're looking for the best. What is Sony Music Entertainment doing? They're looking for the next talent. They're constantly recruiting for the next boy band, right? What is the NBA doing? They're probably looking for the next Michael Jordan, the next LeBron James, right? The next Kobe Bryant. Well, what is the US Army doing? They're looking for new officers. They're looking for new soldiers. What is the police academy doing? They're always on the recruit to bring in new cadets to become new police officers, right? What is Elon Musk doing for Tesla? He's also looking for the greatest minds, right? The greatest minds that could join his team and make a difference in the world, right? What did the Dodgers do, right? The Dodgers actively pursued and recruited Shohei Ohtani when he became a free agent. They threw the books at him. They threw everything at him to get him onto the team, right? What is what does every organization do? They must recruit if they want to grow. You're either growing or you're dying. So why is recruiting such an important element in your business? Because it helps with further reach, aggressive expansion, and it's all about building your network. Remember, the one thing that's more important than money are people. Money comes and goes, but the real asset is people. It's not about what you know, it's who you know. And at the end of the day, it's the human interaction, that one person that you knew that became that difference maker that could change it all for you, right? So it's so important to build your network and understanding the importance of time and leverage, the value of time. Why are we doing network marketing? It's to make money. But what is money? It's a tool that allows you to live your life by your own means, right? So what is it? What is the value of time? It's a currency that we're never ever going to get back, right? Money comes and goes, but we never get our time back, right? So here in network marketing, the whole purpose is to learn how to work smart versus working hard. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? It's very simple. When you have 100 people on your team investing 10 hours of their time, you get 1,000 hours worth of your income paid out to you from that time. It's just that simple. So when it comes to recruiting, the best attitude and mindset that you should have is the people you think that will won't, and the people you think that won't will. And for those of you that are on the call today, I guarantee you you're nodding because you're agreeing with me. How many times did you get excited thinking, yeah, I think this person's going to do it and I think he'll be interested, and you went to them and you talked to them and the timing wasn't just right, right? How many times did you prejudge somebody and you thought they weren't going to do it and you saw them end up on someone else's organization, right? That's a big mistake, right? That's a money mistake, right? That's gonna hurt, right? The wallet is bruised and it kind of hurts, right? It's not fun when you see that, right? And oftentimes the people that you overlooked and you didn't even try, they will join your business. And I'll tell you a little secret why. The reason why this is because before you ever talk to somebody, they were already a yes and they were already a no. You get what I'm saying? Like when I came in through the door, ready to start network marketing happened to be at the crossroads when I was paying attention. But I was already a yes because I was looking for something. I was looking for an opportunity. I knew deep down in my heart of hearts, I need to go make money. I need to find a new career path. I need to find something to do. And at that right moment in time, network marketing came into my life. And on the flip side, this could happen to somebody else. Maybe somebody is going through grief and they lost a loved one, or they're going through some drastic changes in their life that doesn't allow them to allocate time. If you make a decision, anybody could technically do this, but you get what I'm saying, right? The circumstances just doesn't add up for that person at that time. So what I want you to understand is when it comes to recruiting, it's not about convincing, but it's about sorting and finding the ones that are yes, right? And also at times you have to also accept the fact that it's also timing in someone's life, right? So, even for me, if I had had an extensive music career and my career was still ongoing, the timing just might not have been right. You know what I mean? But because the timing was right, whether it was a rug pull or things happened for me for a reason, the timing in my life where I had time, I was open, I was humble enough to really want something else and take a look at something. It was all about timing, right? So when it comes to recruiting, it's not really about your talent and how persuasive you are, but becoming a good recruiter is also about having good awareness and having the foresight to be able to see, maybe read some body language, maybe, read the hinted indicators in their words. And when you understand how to do this, you will become a much smoother recruiter and understand that the people you think that will, they won't, and the people you think that won't, will. This theory and rule and law will never ever change, right? So what does that mean? So what is the ultimate mission? Never ever ever prejudge. Don't prejudge. Even if you think someone is a dud, did you know a dud can bring a stud, right? So the whole point here is to sort and let the law of averages work in your favor. All right. Now, today I want to talk to you about learning to succeed by failing. So there's a video here I want to share with you guys. His name is Brian Tracy. In some of my other trainings, you got to see some of these clips that I shared with you. But this gentleman's trainings had a profound impact on my life because he's not so philosophical, but he's very simplistic in a way where he gets you to understand and go, oh, I get it. That is so true. It's so simple how he breaks things down to the core, where it's just so easy that all you need to do is take the action and apply. So without further ado, let's watch this video and I'll kind of elaborate on the things that he's saying. Let me see.
Is the greatest single obstacle. Refuse to consider the possibility of failure. The fear of failure is the greatest single obstacle to success in adult life. It's not the failure that holds you back. The failure makes you smarter. The rule is this, is there's no such thing as failure, there's only feedback. Is when you try something that doesn't work, you get feedback, not failure. So what you do is you say, oh, that's an interesting bit of feedback, and you pick yourself up, and you move forward, and you have more feedback, and you move forward.
You guys catch that? I just talked about fear. Fear. F-E-A-R. Fear. False evidence appearing real. I know that these acronyms that I'm telling you could sound corny, but it's absolutely real. Because you know why? We're selfish beings by nature. Nobody cares. Nobody's been paying attention. It's only your own figment of your imagination where you're looking at false evidence appearing real. And a lot of times people don't take action. People don't take on the challenge to succeed in life because they're scared of failing. But did you know failing is the big brother to success? The other side of fear lies success, right? They go hand in hand. That's like saying, I don't want to breathe if I have to exhale. Inhaling and exhaling go hand in hand. Failure is the building blocks of success, right? So in order to be successful, failing forward, the whole key is to become coachable, right? You want to be coachable in this business. It's not about let me do it first and let me show everybody and then maybe my friends will join. No, be coachable. Listen to your sponsor, listen to your upline, listen to your senior manager, listen to your team leader, listen to your director, listen to your senior director, listen to your national director, because all these leaders have failed before you. And everything you're going to do and fail, they probably already did it. Everything you're going to do, they already understand it. So the whole point here is to be coachable and do the things that your uplines did properly, right? You got to be bad before you can get good, right? So when it comes to recruiting, just do the motions. Just do it. You know what I mean? It's not really about what people are going to think of you or what kind of results you're going to get. A little secret, you talk to 10, you're going to get one. And a lot of times it's a lot easier to have the mindset, I'm going to go into this one-on-one, into this recruiting session, just to get that one more no out of the way, right? When you go in with that mindset, with no fear, having nothing to lose, that's when actually your presentation is actually good because your guard isn't up, right? You have no expectation. And when you do it, you're just getting it out of the way, right? And sometimes people actually join. And that's when a realization happens. That's when the light bulb goes on, where you start to realize in those moments where you didn't really try, you tried to do it because you wanted to just get it out the way, but somebody said yes. There's another indicating factor like, hey, maybe it's not so much about what I say, or it's not so much about how convincing I am, but maybe about the energy, or like Miss Brianna Michaels talked about during convention, maybe about the posture that I had, right? For some of you that have this attitude, I have nothing to lose. I'm just gonna get that, seventh no out of the way so I could get to the 10th yes. 10 out of 1 yes, and you did it and that person happens to sign up, right? There's a lot of learning curves that happen into that, right? So you have to have this attitude, I got to be bad before I get good. But people don't even know that you're bad, okay? And the moment you realize that you get good is when you're confident and you can do this with your eyes closed and you're not even thinking twice how you do the presentation. And from that moment on, you're just getting better and better and better and better. Okay. Also, yesterday's home runs do not win today's games. So a lot of times when people join our business, there's a lot of affluent people that join our business, people that have been successful in other careers, people that have might been doctors or lawyers or very, very successful entrepreneurs or investors in real estate. But what I want to tell you is, remember, you can't it's like Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time in basketball, but you can't expect Michael Jordan to get the same treatment when he goes to play baseball, right? Even Michael Jordan, when he showed up on the baseball field, he was a rookie. He had to be coachable. He wasn't the GOAT of baseball, right? Same thing. When you come into this business, it is absolutely important to understand that even though you have money or you're successful, you have to have the attitude that I'm still learning, I'm here to grow, and some of my successes elsewhere might not correlate and relate to the business here. And remember, there are no losers in the business, there are only quitters, right? And this has to do with a lot of the times with goal setting, right? A lot of the times it's so important to manage your team's expectations, right? When you pound senior manager onto these people, and they don't even understand why they're running for it, by the time they hit manager, senior manager, a lot of the times they burn out and quit, right? So you have to understand that this is a long-term deal. This is a long-term play. This is not a go to manager and quit, go to manager, senior manager, team leader, and arrive at life. No, this is a long-term play. It's a 2 to 5 year run, but you could build actual wealth, you could build residual income. And so as long as you don't quit, you will not fail in this business. And one more thing, you either win or you learn, because in our business it's all about growing, right? In life, in school we're taught don't copy your peers, don't copy the smart kids, but in life it's all about copying the successful people, right? If you want to increase your rate of success, you must double your rate of failure, because success lies on the other far side of failure. So remember, learn to
Refuse to
succeed
consider
by
the
failing forward, okay? So as you become a recruiter in this business, you have to understand that there's 4 stages of leadership competency, and this actually correlates into your recruiting skill. You see, if you look at great recruiters, here's what I want you to know, especially for the new people on the call today. Really, really good recruiters, did you know they have a lot of very high count of no's, like a lot more rejections, very, very, very high count of rejection, more than you would imagine. Great recruiters have this. Do you know why? The reason why is because they're playing on a different playing field than most of you. Because what great recruiters are really focused on, they're not focused on the emotion or what someone might think of them or what they're going to say. They're focused on only getting the job done. And a great recruiter, to them, new recruits, it's like a scoreboard, right? And because they understand the law of averages work in their favor, they literally spend 1 minute on 100 people rather than 100 minutes on one person, right? So what they do is they expand the level of exposure they can have, and they understand they're going to get a lot more no's, but the volume of more no's that they're willing to get, that much more yeses are going to increase from the more volume of no's, right? So understand, great recruiters are playing at a different pace, a different formula. They're not really emotional. They are just result-based players, right? And that's what really recruiters do. They grab a new person, get their list, and it's called taprooting, right? Brianna Michaels talked about a taprooting. When a brand new person comes in, you grab their list. That's the brand new ammunition, that brand new fresh warm market. You grab that list, then you start booking meetings with people on that list, and then you grab the new person's list again and you expand that list, right? This is what great recruiters do without thinking twice. So I want to talk about the stages of leadership. Unconscious incompetence means this needs training. This stage needs massive training. Okay, you must get trained. No awareness, no skill. Think about a brand new planner that just got started in the business, right? You know, they're not saying the right things. They might have some verbal diarrhea. You know, you told them not to say anything, but you know, they're creating more of an analysis paralysis, creating more questions, right? This is actually for brand new planners, right? But this is like a brand new baby as well, right? Remember how Mr. Danny May talked about brand new planners in the business, right? Think of like how like you went through this hard process of starting to recruit somebody, bring them on a list. You went through the process of following up. You did the demo, you did the K pop up, and you finally recruited them, right? Same thing, right? You got pregnant, right? And you went through 9 months of just developing this baby, and finally you gave birth, right? And what do you say? Call me when you get to college, right? No, it requires nurturing, right? So when a brand new person starts, you have to understand that they are unconscious and incompetent, right? But as they get into the system, right, and they start practicing presentations, they practice the K pop-ups, they get used to the uncomfortable, they go out and do the recruiting activities. At some point, they're going to become conscious and still incompetent. And what that means is at that point, when they go out and do these K pop-ups, they do the one-on-ones, they've sat with the prospects with their upline at that point, the brand new person, they identify the need to learn. Like, man, I don't know what I don't know. Man, I need my upline for help. I'm going to have to borrow my upline's confidence. I'm going to have to borrow his story. I'm going to have to become a better student. And that's really when the training begins, right? So a lot of the times when a brand new planner starts in the business, their success in the beginning will be highly dependent on the upline, right? And remember how in my comp plan drives behavior training, right? Comp plan truly drives behavior because a planner doesn't really know what they're doing in the beginning. This is why we give managers and senior managers and team leaders really, really great open line, open group bonus incentives to build up leaders, support the downline because of the conscious competency, right? The leadership competency that I'm talking today. So comp plan drives this actual behavior because at this point, by the time they're a manager, they identify the need to learn and the training begins and they understand and recognize the importance of orientation, Remon reveal, these Friday night Zooms, and they start to plug in, and that's when the growing starts to happen, right? Now, what is conscious competence? It's of having partial awareness, learning the skill set, ability to lead and duplicate, but you're not quite there just yet. I would say, you know, level 3 would be kind of like a brand new promoted team leader, like newly promoted team leader. Month 1, they're just going to start tasting their first open line, full level business, right? So when you get to here, you know, that's when you understand you still need support. You're a leader. You have the ability to lead, but you still have some skills to refine, right? Now, when you get to unconscious competence, this is where I would say like you're a fully qualified director, you have some momentum, your business is growing, you know, like people like Miss Kimberly Weimer, Miss Kate Twig, you know, Miss Courtney, like these influencers as well, right? They're not just influencers that sell product just from their page. They're actually building teams and legs and hitting these director positions, right? But where are they at, right? They first started as unconscious incompetence, but as they mastered the mundane, mastered the K pop-up, mastered the things that they were good at, right? It became unconscious competence, right? What does that mean? You can do this with your eyes closed. You're fully aware. Your leadership becomes second nature. When this is second nature, it's like when I'm talking second nature, you're doing a K pop-up, you're doing a one-on-one, you're doing a presentation, all the while the information is all going out, but your eyes are reading the room, you're reading the energy, you're reading the body language, you're seeing the expression on this person's face, you're seeing the person rubbing their hands, smelling their skin, smiling. That's what they're in the buying mode, right? So all of this is happening in a K pop-up or a meeting while you're doing the presentation, but you're able to read everything else going around while the presentation is happening, right? That's what I call unconscious competence. Great recruiters have a keen ability to do this, right? And anybody can get to this stage. All you have to do is just practice the mundane over and over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where you know exactly what you're doing, you know exactly what you're saying, and now you can see other things going on. And you know, when you get to this place, it's kind of fun, because that's when you could kind of understand the energy, people's body language, right? What they're thinking. You already know this, right? And then that's when your intuition starts to get really, really refined, right? So leaders that are in level 4 unconscious competence, they are very, very intuitive and high in posture, right? And anybody can get to this place, so as long as you do the practice and the work necessary to create that awareness and that second nature muscle memory, okay? So now, what makes you actually a great recruiter is understanding that there's different types of people with different characteristics and personalities, right? Now, wherever you go in the world, right? My mentor told me this about 18 years ago. They said, wherever you go in the world, red, brown, yellow, black, or white, whatever race they are, they might have a different name and a different face, but wherever you go in the world, you're going to meet 4 types of people in the world. And you know what my mentor taught me was, you need to kind of learn how to speak everyone's language, right? Because that's how you're going to create trust. That's how you're going to create this level of trust and this level of connection, right? And what they told me was, there's 4 types of people in the world, right? And these are the 4 you know, personalities, and it's very, very you know, effective for communication skills. And they told me there's 4, or it's like 4 animals, or 4 different colors, but it's either a red or a shark, right? So what are sharks? What's a red, right? So a red is kind of, you know, they're very formal. They like to look sharp, neat, and clean. You know, they have the need to be right. They're very charismatic. They're very money driven. They like to flex. They like nice things, right? Do you guys know a couple people like that? I do too, right? The bottom animal that I want to also address is called the dolphin, right? So this person is very informal, very flamboyant sometimes, has very, very bright colors, is a promoter, very, very sociable, very, very likable, lots of friends, the funny guy. Do you guys know someone like that? You know, possibly someone like maybe Mr. Tim Herr, right? Very, very laughable, likable, super outgoing, right? So these are the dolphins, right? Now, moving over to the top left, right? You know, I call these the greens, or like the sea urchin, right? I like to say analysis paralysis, right? But these are literally the smart elite people of the world, right? Your engineers, your doctors, you know, your lawyers, people that are data driven, people that want to know what are the policies and procedures, what's the comp plan, what's the percentage payout, whatever it is. These are all data driven people, right? And at the bottom, as you can see, it can either be called a yellow or a whale, and these people are very, very servant mentality type people. We are the world, right? You know, others come first, right? People that are very, very heavily into charitable things, people with a big heart, right? And what really helped me to be a great recruiter was understanding that wherever you go, people are going to be one of these 4 characteristics or personalities, right? And what makes you really a great recruiter is when you go to a sit down, like a Starbucks or a K-pop up or any type of interaction, the best advice I could give you, especially maybe on a Zoom, is I have the prospect do about 5 to 10 minutes of talking and explaining who they are and letting them communicate themselves to me. Now, when you let a prospect do this, 2 major things end up happening. Number 1, without them even knowing it, because they're talking and being heard and getting excited to share their story, they start to become more open-minded. Their heart starts to open up. They become receptive to ideas and what you might have to say. Okay. So they're going to be very, very happy. But also, as you hear them speak, you're going to be able to find an indication of what characteristic and personality this person is, right? And based on that, you're going to be able to navigate the conversation on how you could relate to them on how Remon could possibly change their skin or maybe even possibly change their financial situation, right? So if you sat with a guy like that is a shark, like a guy like me, right? I would most likely talk about what? Probably the nice things, the income potential, probably the nice toys you can buy, things that this person might relate with, right? If I were to sit with a dolphin, I would probably talk a lot about travel, lifestyle, family, right? If I sat down with a green or an urchin, I would probably be talking a lot about the data, the nanoliposomal technology, the Byungpool, the tiger grass, the Jeju lava energy water, a lot of data, right? Now, if I was sitting with a yellow or a whale, I would possibly talk about how I could retire your parents, maybe pay off your parents' mortgage, how we can do greater things in this world with money, which is a tool that could help change someone's quality of life. And I've long found that these types of psychological indicators is very, very effective in helping you become a great recruiter. This often helped me a lot. This is what really helped me stay in the game of recruiting. I know it sounds kind of funny, but it's absolutely true. I want you guys to put this to the test. When you're sitting with somebody, watch what they're wearing, right? Are they wearing dark colors? Are they very attention to detail in their suit, right? Are they wearing a Rolex, right? Those are the indicators, right? Is somebody wearing bright colors, right? They're very, very social. They like social events. They like to go out on Friday nights, right? These are all indicators that can help you understand how to navigate your conversation when you guys are prospecting. Okay. Now, moving on to the next slide, another effective way to be a great recruiter is applying something called the form, right? So remember how when I sit with a prospect, I ask them a lot of questions and I let them talk. But a lot of the times, the way I navigate the conversation is I ask about family, occupation, recreation, what motivates them, or maybe what type of a financial situation they're looking for. When a lot of these little hints and little taglines are thrown out, that is really the signal to listen. And when you listen, then you're going to be able to really take them down a conversation, more catered to them, and more them being able to see themselves, envision themselves being a part of the Remont opportunity and potentially changing their lives, right? So, what I like to communicate is really the global trends, right? What makes really Remont really, really effective and powerful in the recruiting process is K Beauty is huge worldwide in the global trends in the retail world outside of our industry. It needs no introduction, it needs no convincing. Anybody that understands washing your face, one way, shape, or form, they understand and know K Beauty, right? So it's all about being a great, effective communicator, how to benefit from a booming industry in the likes of how I talk about positioning yourself in an industry where there's massive buying power, right? Front running a trend such as K Beauty, right? The gig economy has been triggered, 75 million people and where they fit in. Guys, COVID has sped this up, right? Today, we're doing trainings on Zoom. About 15 years ago, I would have never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be hosting, a Zoom with close to almost what? Almost close to over 150 people on this call hearing the training, right? So the times have changed, right? So a lot of people post COVID, they wanted to what? Join the gig economy, be able to make money from home. People understood the power of time, the power of platform, being able to have a voice, the speed of information. People have awakened, and now we have a booming 75 million gig economy, right? Now, understand this, right? Think about it, especially for the women, right? When I'm out there recruiting, especially the women, I like to paint a picture like this, right? If a woman is either working part-time or she has a husband that has a full-time career and she's a stay-at-home mom, right? Think about it. Most women want to create something special for themselves, right? They want to be able to go buy that nice Chanel bag without having to get permission from their husband. Or, when their child wants something from school, they don't want to have to worry about budgets and be able to freely get something for their child, right? But think about it like this. If you can help the average woman make 5 to 7 grand a month, and her husband has a full-time career, and they get 2 paid family vacations a year, and they get to make money part-time from home, that person's never ever going to quit. You see, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? It's not really the blowing of the wind, but the set of the sail, right? So it's all about understanding who you're talking to, letting them speak and understanding what way to talk to these people in a way where they understand the language that you're speaking to them, right? So the realistic achievable goals that I like to really talk about is doing maybe $500 a week, doing maybe $2,000-3,000 a month part-time, right? The big money is great too, but the realistic stuff to, pay off a car, pay your mortgage, maybe some tuition, cell phone bills. I like to start there and really emphasize the beauty of part-time so people can also, not feel pressured to make it happen, but they could get in where they ultimately fit in, right? Also, it is absolutely important to maintain a positive mindset. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person or the right thing to the wrong person, right? People will remember how you made them feel, right? Now, when you're in the recruiting mode, right? You know, long time ago when I was younger, I always had this aggressive, pushy attitude, like, you're gonna scare, um, you know, 1 out of 10, by not being by being aggressive, and 9 out of 10 would have had a chance to start just by being a little bit more pushy. Yeah, that could be true. And sometimes I learned, some people will say yes because the sake of that moment, because they didn't want to say no. But what I will tell you is this, right? Certain people, they'll remember how you made them feel. They're not going to remember how good you did the presentation, or or how savvy you were. They're going to remember how you made them feel, even if they didn't join, right? Even if they weren't financially there, they weren't able to, they had a financial situation, they were embarrassed, they couldn't tell you, but you took it gracefully and you made them feel good. And when the financial opportunity came for them to get some products and started, bam, they got started, right? That is the difference maker, right? So remember, as you recruit, as you do a presentation, remember, they're not going to remember anything. They're only going to remember, is this real? What's in it for me? And how you made them feel, right? So make sure you make them feel good, but also have the confidence, have the posture that nobody's going to be judging you. Just have confidence, and they're only going to remember that you made them feel good and they use some good products, right? Ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. This is absolutely true, guys. Uh, you know, it's the same thing as how I say, this business is easy to do fast and hard to do slow, right? This business is about emotion, how we talk about the transfer emotion, right? It's not really about the data, it's about the leaning forward, enthusiastic emotion, the FOMO. People will be scared not to follow you if they knew where you're going to go, right? It's timing, not talent. Spend 1 minute on 100 people, not 100 minutes on one person. There is no need to drag somebody across the start line to get them across the finish line. Amateurs find ways to complain, professionals find solutions. And always remember, facts tell, stories sell. Be a great storyteller in the business. And remember, as you go out there and recruit, don't be gun shy, don't be shy, don't be afraid to put your brand new people on the spot. Remember, you have a contact list, phone contacts, email contacts, social media contacts. Okay, you're going to be able to find a list of at least 150 to 300 people if you utilize these sources. Talk to 10 and possibly 3 are going to join your business. Another thing I like to emphasize is use the 24-hour game plan. Take immediate action and compile the warm market list now. Now, when the iron is hot, beat your box, right? As soon as you enroll a new person, make sure you start the money-making activities now. Don't wait for the box. Don't wait for the fizz to dry out. When the iron is hot, strike now before the product arrives. Make sure the upline uses their products and starts the 24-hour game plan, whether it's to lock in a customer, new partner, start the Beat Your Box campaign. Invite your top 5, 7 to closest friends and plug into the Zoom meeting ASAP. As you know, this business is built on event to event, on pending events, right? Every pending event is designed to bring you a result. Your goal is to invite and get them in front of the next presenter, not explain exactly what I said, right? It's easier to do fast than to do slow. Finalize a new recruit or customer in 24 hours. Results is the name of the game for the new planner. Now, staying in phase 1 is absolutely important. It's all leading by example from the front with speed and exposure. Phase 2 is often falling into management mode. Phase 3 is managing the manager. And phase 4, negative mindset and verge of quitting. Don't fall into any other phase. Stay in phase 1. Like I said, success loves speed. Create a burst of intense activity. in a short period amount of time. It's kind of like how a plane takes flight, right? Slow and steady doesn't work in our industry. It requires a strong push until your business can take off like a plane takes off with altitude. Give it a strong push for a short period of time, a burst of energy. This is the secret and key to creating massive momentum. All right. Now, the fortune is in the follow up. As you know, not everybody's going to say yes, right? 58% of salespeople completely quit after a single call. 20% of people make 2 calls before giving up. 7% of people make 3 calls. 15%, check this out, make 5 calls or more. 15% of the salespeople that make 7 calls or more produce about 75% of the business. This is absolutely true. Maybe in car sales, stocks, any type of sales, even in network marketing, this is absolutely true. Mr. Timothy Hurt will tell you, probably 90% of all the directors in our business directly came from my recruiting, from my pushiness, my thick skin, my audacity. Okay. Like I've probably recruited 90% of the directors in our business, but I will tell you this with full conviction. Okay. Most of my directors that I recruited, they all got started maybe on the 8th or 9th try. This is absolutely true. Mr. Robert Nunn, he's a senior director. He's got business all over Asia. He will tell you, he talks about it in his promotion. I told Mr. Chris Kim no for 7 months. And on the 8th time, I said yes. This is absolutely true. And if you know the formula, right? If you know the result, it's like, have you guys seen like Back to the Future 2? You know, the sports almanac Marty takes back into time and he's able to win those bets. If you knew you had the winning hand, you could win the bet. What would you do? Right? If you knew more than likely, okay, 75% of my recruits are going to come after the 7th try, what would you do? The information is here before you. This is absolutely true. What made me a great recruiter? I stuck to the basics and I just did it. I'm not lying. There is no magic formula or a magic wand or a spell that makes you a Pazam great recruiter. It was this. I knew this 18 years ago. Okay, just keep trying. Just hit the tree, hit the tree, hit the tree, hit the tree. And maybe on the 8th, 9th time, then I would go into follow-up mode. Like, hey, okay, keep a friendship, you know, or it's a no. But I knew, right? I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. Nothing to lose and everything to gain. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, okay? This is what's going to make you a great recruiter. Now, fortune's in the follow-up. It's called 80-20 rule, okay? You want to spend 80% of your time on the new recruits, 20% of the time playing the long game on the maybes, and at some point, they're going to say yes. Spend 0% of your time with negative people. Negativity is like a cancer that spreads too, all right? So here's your call to action. I know I'm a little bit over time, but it's the handful of new recruits that can make or change your career. Every leader's business was in a slump, but how they overcame it was they focused on a handful of new recruits. I talked about this at convention. This was the call to action. Sponsor 10 Frontline. Get a brand new warm market. It's easier to give birth to new life than to raise the dead. It's gonna get a brand new person excited about K-Beauty, excited about a brand new opportunity, excited to run with you, and it's going to completely change the game. Sponsor 10, go frontline, go wide. By the time you become a team leader and have 3 senior manager legs, you're going to have 7 major open line legs. That's going to cash you in, okay? Make sure you get the 1000 SP, unlock your uni level. And for those of you that are planners, managers, senior managers, okay, it's a very prestigious position. It's a lifetime rank, but the call to action, go team leader. This is the meat of the move. This is the prestigious position. This is where your life is going to financially change. This is the start of the beginning. Go team leader. So with that said, I'm very, very excited that everybody had a chance to get on this 4-week training. You guys are halfway through. We're coming off hot off the convention. I want to thank everybody that took the time to be on this training. I know how valuable your time is, but we all know how important your success is as well. So I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Next week, I will be covering how to seal the deal, on how to close, what kind of attitude, what kind of mentality, what you do to become a closer and actually get that person on the team. So make sure you guys plug in next week. This will be the 5th week for the 8-week training course. I want to thank everybody that gave me your time today. Have a wonderful weekend. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.